Hello, everyone. I'm Gary Gatto, and welcome to coverage of Round 6 of the inaugural season of the ISRA Xfinity Series. As we come to you tonight from the Magic Mile. Instead of the Monster Mile we were last time, with the Magic Mile, where magical things happen in New Hampshire. Joining me here in the booth is my good friend and former Indy Fixed Series champion, Mark Murphy. Mark, we were kind of doing a little more work to you than less to me, but we'll just say we when I really meant you. Doing some pre-race scouting here of what to expect for this event coming up, and if we get another race that we're used to, which is caution-free, which we're not sure it's going to necessarily be the case here because the Magic Mile is a tricky mile, we could see a splash and dash at the end.
Yeah, so 150 laps here, Gary. My best estimate is that the cars can do anywhere between 65 and 70 laps on fuel, which means that anybody with a calculator out there would see that they're about 10 laps short. To complicate that, we've got 3 sets of tires, 1 on the car, 2 on the pit lane, and so somebody somewhere is going to have to run a little bit extra time on some used tires. To complicate that, this is a scan of New Hampshire that has the PJ1 up top. You see the darker surfaces at the top of the speedway, and with the flat corners and the fact that these stock cars really don't have a whole lot of grip anyway, as compared to the open wheel machines that many of these guys are used to.
Right.
It makes some interesting dynamics for guys trying to get off the corner. It's also kind of bumpy down on the bottom, especially corner exit off of 4, so you got to kind of watch out for that. And pit road here can be very, very, very tricky because it's a very sharp left as you unload the car coming off of turn 4, and that could catch somebody out as well. But look forward to an interesting, and as we become accustomed to here in the ISRA, a very strategic race. Things that I'm going to kind of follow. We're going to see Greg Evans come out, and the stock car ringers. We're going to see those guys come out, lay it to him again. We're going to see the fuel saving strategy of noted stock car ace Matty Wagner. Guys like that can really understand the strategy of the race. Who's going to make a mistake and take the road course chicane in the backstretch and think that they're going to go back outside? We'll see. But looking forward to a fun 150 laps here for sure.
All right. Let's get into this starting lineup momentarily, shall we? Oh, yeah, the music is queued up and ready to go. Here we go. Let's get these images off of all the graphics, and let's get on into it in the grid here. Grid. Hello, grid. There we go. And I love it. I love it when people adopt the very bad nicknames we give people. On the pole is, for the first time this season, Pat Stretch Armstrong for a 119 flat. The only 2 cars in the 119 bracket. Right next to him is the other car in the 119 bracket, Michael Goodman, 119 flat. So it's 119.086 on the pole, 119.044 P2. Chris Reagan, P3. Jake Euler, P4. Richie Hearn, P5. John Van Voorellis, P6. I should mention Richie Hearn. He does hold at least the IRL track record here. The official real-life IRL track record. He qualified on that pole for the pole position back in 96 when the IRL had their opening race here for the 96 season. He is 5th. Big John is 6th. Rigney 7th. Pepto Joe 8th. Sam Crow 9th. Say Hey Lewis Hayes, he's in the top 10 here. He is P10. Matty Wagner is 11th. Lionel Callisto's 12th. Greg Evans 13th. And we got a number of guys that decided just to it's a small field, let's do the worst from first challenge. So also involved there in the back.
Yeah, so I don't know if if the noted stock car ace Matt Wagner just messed up his lap, but he's the last person to take time at 2.5 seconds off the pace. Callisto, Evans, Gallows, and Guyon.
Yeah. Yep.
So one of the other things that's kind of interesting, you brought this up. I did not realize it as I was testing before the race began, but they are on the you said the iRacing Super Speedway setup.
Yes. Yes.
So that's going to do two things. The first is there is no rear spoiler in the car, and then the other thing is the fourth gear is going to be extremely tall, and that's going to mean that you're going to have a whole lot less wheel spin. But anybody that has ever raced iRacing Super Speedway knows that you could not have a more diametrically opposed racetrack
Right.
between a flat mile and a Bristol banked 3 miles coming to green. So that'll be interesting to look at.
Green flag, green flag.
Pace car is off. Stretch Armstrong leads him away. Michael Goodman gives chase. Chris Reagan's going to dive to the inside, take away P2. He'll almost nearly push Pat Stretch Armstrong down into turn 1, and away they go. Swings to the outside. Safely down the backstretch. Everybody just kind of feeling out their stuff. The front two side by side. That's going to be side by side. Oh, we got no.
Oh,
Somehow,
Richie Hearn to the outside.
I have no idea how Pat Armstrong saved that automobile. He got tagged in the rear coming off of turn 4, got it sideways, bounces off of Richie Hearn, who takes advantage of the slow Armstrong. Richie to second, Chris Reagan in the lead. No idea how he saved that car. That was a gnarly looking ride, but everybody gets sorted and squared away. And Armstrong will reset, go after Richie Hearn, who I hope his cat is not chewing through the Ethernet wire again.
Chris Reagan had to turn the volume up from our cams on the ground there. There was you could barely hear the cars, but now we're going to get a little bit more of a full experience going on. But down the backstretch, Chris Reagan setting purple lap early here, as you would expect. Oh no! Lewis Hayes smoking on the inside. He needs to get to pit road before that car expires. Otherwise, he'll have to do a tow, and that's really going to cost him. He can get in and hopefully get that fast repair, but I'm not sure what happened. Hearn with the purple lap that time by, but not sure what happened to Say Hey Hayes.
Yeah, he there was a little bit of I don't know if there's a little bit of roughhousing going on down there in turn number 1. It appears to me Say Hey Lewis Hayes got tagged and made contact with the turn 1 and 2 fence, courtesy of Sam Crow. I don't think that was Sam's issue though, because I believe he had a little bit of help from the front of stock car ace Matty Wagner. So, I mean, I don't think, not intentional for sure.
No.
Wagner was on the brakes hard. I think. Is that Pepto Joe in front of all these guys? Big John Von Varelis and Pepto Joe are racing side by side. I think they might have got off the gas a little bit early to give each other some room and just kind of checked up everybody behind them. A tough break for Say Hey Lewis Hayes, though.
Well, thank goodness for the fast repair. He's able to use that, but unfortunately, I'm sure it's a lot earlier if he used than he wanted it to at lap 3.
Well, and that does several things. You know, we talked at the opening of the show. You're going to be a little bit short on fuel, so now not only has Say Hey Lewis Hayes stopped, but he's outside the window. The other thing is, if he took tires, now he's only got one set left.
Yeah, he had to take tires. Yeah, so it's going to be a long day for Say Hey Hayes here.
But hey, crazier things have happened.
Yeah, it has.
You're going to have a.
Well,
if you're going to have an issue like that,
get it out of the way now, I guess.
Yeah.
Real quick, let's bring the points up on the screen while we're still in the early laps here. Callisto is your leader by 3 points over Goodman. Matt Wagner is third, Sam Crow fourth. Rick D, who's not in the lineup, he is 15. Darth Maul, also not in the lineup, is sixth. Lewis Hayes is seventh. Now, Lewis was going to try to capitalize, and I think just by starting, he's going to pass Maul because there's only 2 points there, but it's not much of a pass as he wanted. Flanagan is, Pepto Joe is 8th, Richie Hearn 9th, and Rigney is 10th. That is your top 10, and there's the remainder of your field down to 20th position.
That's going to be, we're going to have guys that miss races. People have lives, wives,
Yep.
kids, jobs.
Sure.
We've got Stretch Armstrong. He's going to dive to the inside of Chris Reagan. He has repassed Richie Hearn. Richie going to give him the bumper there going through turn number 4. Not quite able to have enough steam. Armstrong there on the inside, but already 2 very different philosophies. You've got the leader, Chris Reagan. He's running up in that 3rd groove. Armstrong, Hearn, they're down on the bottom, kind of in that 2nd lane. You will not see anybody wrap the bottom, I don't think, Gary. It's just,
No.
It's really slick and bumpy down there. So really 4 lanes to choose from. Lanes 2, 3, 4, and 5 if you want to get up in the handsome Harry Gant line. But Armstrong working him over here. He's giving it a pretty good run. Now, interested to note with a short tire situation, do you really want to be that abusive on the right front this early?
Greg Evans already up 6 spots to 7th. There he is, the winner of the last couple of races here.
Are we going to take bets on how long it takes him to reach the front, Gary?
Well, he's almost there. Now, this group right in front of him, immediately right in front of him, are admittedly racing pretty hard.
Yeah, there's not a lot of... I'm not seeing a lot of saving, not a lot of guys rolling out of the throttle and taking it easy. You got to go back to kind of Pepto Joe and the stock car racemen.
15 gets into the back of the 88. Or the 28, excuse me.
Now, that's something that's going to happen frequently here because guys are on different agendas. Some of them are going to try to save fuel, run as long as they can. Some guys like Greg Evans obviously going for it early. If you look on your screen, you can tell when they lift based on when the flames come out of the pipes. And so if you notice coming down in here, you're going to see the flames come out of Michael Goodman a lot earlier than Greg Evans. It's going to be Jake Euler. Same way for Michael Goodman. It's going to be the same way for Richie Hearn. He's driving a lot deeper and he's getting in the gas a lot sooner than these guys. But you can kind of see it if you watch. That's the telltale lift when you see the flames come out of the pipes.
A little pop of flame there. All right.
Get your marshmallows ready.
Well, we had a race last night that you were in, that Maddie was in, that let's see who else. Lewis Hayes was in at Dark Horse DW12 series at Fontana, went caution free.
Yeah, whenever you don't count on a race being caution free, it usually winds up that way. I cannot believe, and I hope the fans enjoyed that because we were working hard in those cars. It was a very free setup. Probably had a turn or two too much front wing in it, which is okay. It handled great for about 15 laps, and then the handle really went away, burning up the right rear especially. And
here's Evans up another spot around Richie Hearn. Yeah, it was. I could tell you guys about 15 laps into those runs, we're really working it. But 213.916 was your race average.
It's fast.
Yeah, that's. I would hope that sets some or gets some close to or some sort of or something a dark horse record because that was pretty amazing. And a number of times the people did lose control of their IR18 or the DW12s on the backstretch just because the right rear was given out. Didn't result in a caution. Was pretty amazing. But I expect these guys, if they don't do a little bit of the same thing, kind of manage these tires. Manage the car. I don't expect a 219 or 213.9 average here at New Hampshire, but Oh, I think Pat is just getting out of the way.
Armstrong.
Yeah, I think just getting out of the way a little bit, maybe.
I think more than that. I think Stretch found the limit of the grip in the rear Goodyears.
The limit of Stretch.
Came off that corner.
And here's Greg Evans to the inside of our leader, Chris Reagan. Greg Evans.
I was going to put that over under it.
Oh!
I was going to put this over under at 25 laps. And he clearly eclipsed my expectations. To the lead, Greg Evans, lap 19. Oh, mackerel.
Now, if you remember in last week's interview, he said, cautions would be nice. I mean, he is racing hard in there. He would like to race, have a small break in the middle of this race for a few laps to kind of recover and everything, but not the way this group runs.
No, and that's something that can't be understated. It's nice to have a caution every once in a while, just to give yourself a mental break. Last night, great example. Car very difficult to hang on to as these are tonight. You see these guys slipping and sliding around, and sometimes it's just nice to not have to hang on, especially at a place like this. At least at Fontana, you get some kind of a break. Here, you're not really going to get a break. You're going to get off the corner and immediately, you're setting up. This is much more like driving Martinsville than it is a regular speedway.
That is not a really bad comparison, to be honest. Track temp is 119, so it is pretty hot out there too.
Right, and you got, you remember iRacing Super Speedway setup, so we're not exactly.
Chris Reagan off the wall, but catches it.
So we're not exactly chassis-wise probably optimized out for this joint. But you're looking at it. I'm looking at it. It's Greg Evans, very smooth. You're starting to see guys struggle with rear grip already, lap 20. I don't know how they're going to make it. If you've got two sets on the box, you can go 50-50. You're going to go at least one lap down here, making a pit stop under green, if not a lap and a half or two. Strategic choices could be key here.
Yeah.
Mr. Godso.
Very much so. We'll see how things execute. We are still a ways from the window opening. We suspect the window will open right around lap 50.
Now, I mentioned at the top of the show, if you look down to the apron there, turns 1 and 2, there is a bendy bit. You come down the backstretch following Greg Evans, you'll see a sharp 90-degree right-hander, and then there is a uphill downhill road course portion of this track. And anybody who's in the sim, you see the road course in 3 and 4 too. Anybody who's in the sim, this track is an incredible amount of fun on the road course, especially for the smaller Formula cars. USF 2000 runs here. I know Formula Indy Pro runs here.
So here's a little bit on the backstretch there, and then there's a gate that opens up. I'll highlight it again here. We're riding along with our leader, Greg Evans. But here's another portion of the road course that comes back out onto the. Here we come again here. Completing another lap, now 25, so about halfway through where we think the first stint will approximately open up the window, but there's a gate here in here somewhere on the wall, right here.
Yep.
Right here.
But it's an incredible amount of fun.
And there's hills that are up where these stands behind these stands, and that's where the road course races up into that hill a little bit.
Yeah, and so if any league owner really wanted to give guys a challenge, maybe we should have like the Roval version. So go to the ovals but run the road courses. So we go to Charlotte and do it. We could do it here. We could do it.
So there's a hill area
Michigan.
Up here. So
Michigan has an awesome road course. But
they do. That's right. But it's not available, right? In the sim.
Correct. The road course at Michigan actually was laid out by none other than Sterling Moss.
Oh.
Give you a bit of trivia. as we watch Greg Evans just sod right on off to Chris Reagan from Chris Reagan and Richie Hearn, I think we've seen this. I think we've seen this story before.
I know, it's like the third verse is same as the first. The best battle right now on the racetrack is right behind Euler here for 5th, 6th, and 7th. They're all really within close proximity to one another. And also one more thing, considering the Roval here, I believe the FIS did a exhibition race here to see how compatible it was with the IR18. It is not very compatible with the IR18.
No, it's really narrow up in that hillside. It's good enough for, Formula Fords and Formula 2000, but anything bigger than that,
PM18,
it's really just way too narrow.
Yeah,
way too narrow.
There's that crossover right there I was talking about. Yep.
Yeah. But it's a fun little course. Meanwhile, that group has caught Richie Hearn and Stretch Armstrong. So we're looking at 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, right in a wad.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got stock car race, Matty Wagner. He's kind of just biding his time right at the tail end of this group. And you can really see it. If you go to the blimp shot, you can really see the different philosophies in getting through the corner. Some guys are charging it, letting the tires in the corner, speed slowing down. Some guys are slowing up and really easing into it.
Euler almost into the back of Stretch there. Just missed that. We saw that on the blimp shot, but I want to thank TC for flying the Race First One airship, soon to be renamed airship. We'll keep everybody posted on that.
You have an airship?
Yeah, and it's flown by TC.
Well, thank you to them for providing an airship I didn't know about. Always good to have an airship. Would like to see the return of the Goodyear blimp and other assorted blimps to major sporting events. I don't think we've had a blimp for a while in Indy, have we?
No, I don't remember. It's in the past have been like the DirecTV blimp or stuff like that. The Goodyear blimp hasn't been there since Goodyear's pulled out of IndyCar racing, but of course the blimp does return for when NASCAR comes. Of course, NASCAR still runs on Goodyear Eagles.
A battle here between Mike Rigney, the host with the most,
and watching it right now, yeah. Sticking with TC in the airship, getting some good shots here. Oh, we got a Hearn and Stretch now getting side by side here for P3.
I don't know if that's a mistake from Richie or if that's a line thing he's trying, but you see how he kind of slid up into the PJ1 and then shot back down the track?
Yeah.
You can do that. That can be effective. Noted stock car ace Matt Wagner's up there, kind of watching Michael Goodman get his stripes up there. So for people who don't know, the PJ1, you've got to run on it to kind of activate it, so to speak. And the more guys run up there, the grippier it's going to get. Stretch Armstrong going to get by Richie Hearn, but you can almost kind of play almost like a carom shot in billiards with it almost. Just slide up there and get grip and shoot off of it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. So it looks like Hugo Gallas is retired. He's out. Hayes down 2 laps because it's a very early incident, 34 out of 150. We are, as you would expect for this series, caution-free to this point. And while
jinx him, Gary.
While we have you here, we do the ISRA for free. We do bring these broadcasts for free for the ISRA. So if you'd like to send a donation to myself and Murph, our GoFundMe link is in the description, and you can send us a donation, and we sure would appreciate it.
Absolutely, Gary. This group is they're still just after it. Pat Armstrong is kind of driven away a little bit. Jake Euler, Richie Hearn, Michael Goodman, Mike Rigney, Stock Car Ace Matty Wagner, and Pepto Joe Flanagan has crept into the
He sure has. There he is. Real quick to just got everyone on the rule set for tonight. It is a 1.06 mile oval. It's not exactly 1 mile. We're doing 150 laps, so it's 159 race miles that we'll be actually doing today. 3 sets of tires, 1 in the car, 2 in the pits, 75% fuel, 1 fast repair. And that's all you need to know. Pit road's good. We got 1 green, white checker attempt that we have not, I don't think, used. I don't think we've ever used a green, white checker attempt here. And pit road speed limit, 45 miles an hour. Well, we are in Loudon, New Hampshire, not too far away from the cool banks of Lake Winnipesaukee. Just outside
Say
of
that
Concord. Winnipesaukee? Winnipesaukee.
Beautiful area of the country, heavily forested.
Yep.
Just a gorgeous place to be.
Track's about 20 minutes away from where my aunt and uncle live in Concord. I got some cousins there as well. I have a godmother lives down in Keene, New Hampshire, down on the southwest corner of New Hampshire there, right along the kind of the Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire border area.
That's where most of the state of Massachusetts has moved. Be that as it may, still just a. I mean, this battle here from 4th back to 7th or 8th is just tremendous. We got Rigney looking to the outside of Hearn.
Rigney's looking in the middle maybe if he wants to. He's getting just enough of the enough peeking around Hearn to get some air to to one of the fenders at least.
Yeah, that was Goodman going by rather. 3 very different lines, 3 very different philosophies.
Goodman is by.
Yeah, Goodman's by, and now that's. I think Hearn might be holding up. Mike Rigney just a little bit, and I think all 3 of these guys are holding up the 12. Meanwhile, Jake Euler has gotten around Stretch Armstrong, so move Euler to 3rd. Armstrong falling back, and some of these guys have got to be saying, "Just get me to lap 50, so I can get new tires." That 50 would be the window open for the 2-stop.
Oop.
1 stop would be 75.
Race Lab apps overlay is for some reason decided I wanted to load on the main screen. I got to get my I think we're gonna. I want to get this open here because this has really good. Anyone ever wants to know how we're on top of pit strategies so well? Use the Race Lab apps overlay. It has some really good pit statistics in there that will tell you when they're on our out lap, when they pitted last, how many laps it was, how many laps on a set of tires, how many laps on their current stint, all that stuff. That's how we know. That's how we can report it back to you. Ooh, Richie kind of banging off the backstretch wall a little bit, but I think if we're going to keep this pace up, I think we are looking at a pit strategy is going to win this race, or a late splash and go. That might be why Evans is checking out. He might just know his only method in order to win this race is just to check out, and he is now a 1.7 second lead, so he's not necessarily getting away from Reagan. He's bringing Reagan with. Reagan's keeping pace, but then there's a big gap back to Euler, about 7 seconds back to Euler. So these 2 guys up front, I think maybe the strategy is to run, and hide.
Yeah, and that's going to be it. 2 schools of thought. Pit it, lap 50, divide the race into thirds, run as hard as you can. I would anticipate, many of our IndyCar friends, they're gonna try to save fuel. Maybe stretch these runs out a little bit, maybe get a fortuitous caution. Again, you're going to go a lap down, so that's the danger. So Greg Evans, Chris Reagan, they're going to stand on it and vanish, and they're way up the road. I'm watching Wagner and Rigney here. But
Alex Gaillon is out of the race, so now we're down to 13 cars remaining.
stock car race is going to clear Rigney here in this corner. I think he's running that higher line. Watch the run he gets off the corner here on.
I like this livery that he has. I think it's pretty sharp.
Wagner?
Yeah.
It's not the Miller Genuine Draft colors though. I always get confused.
No, he's in the Alltel. Maybe it might be what you was loading in for your trading paints, but he's in the Alltel kind of a foil wrap.
The Rocket Man, Ryan Newman ran that for
years,
I think.
Alex slick. All that foil on it, but maybe a little bit of door banging there on Richie, but gets around. So now move Richie down to 7th. Wagner now up very quietly 5 spots. Lionel Callisto, he is back at 11th, and his front end is not looking good. His back end is not looking good. So he got into something and is now struggling. In fact, his right front camber is not looking good either. So one of our points leaders is really struggling. He wants to get to, I think, lap 50 here and get that fast repair. But his day is looking pretty rough right now.
Yeah, and don't know what the story is there, but that thing looks like it's had contact with the with something a little bit more stout than sheet metal. Don't see anything on the sides of it though. It's just the front and the back.
It looks like it has a. If you look at it down the stretch, it looks like it has a crooked smile on it. And now Rigney around Hearn.
Yeah, this is something we've seen quite frequently from Richie. He's really good on the short runs in the stock cars. Long run speed kind of sometimes can. I don't want to say elude him.
All right, here we come into lap 50. Let's see what takers we have on pit road possibly. Not the leader. So here comes Reagan. Nope, not on Reagan. We see Euler come in. No.
Pepto Joe has stopped. Lap 48 for Pepto Joe Flanagan.
Okay, he's in, he's down, and then away. So there's his first stop.
1 lap short of the magical 50 to make it into third. So he'll be okay on fuel, of course, but short pit a lap. And now Stretch Armstrong, I think, calling for pit road. So we're going to start seeing some takers here.
Come Stretch.
They've fallen off about a.
Yeah, they've been falling off a lot. Here he is on pit road. There you go.
Falling off. For the viewers at home, 1.7 seconds.
Oof.
Is the differential? Although, who hasn't fallen off near as much?
Greg Evans.
That would be Greg Evans. Everybody else is down at least a second and a half a lap from their fast laps. Greg Evans, 1.2 seconds slower than his fast lap. So he knows something about managing the tires here that some of these guys don't.
He is letting off very early before getting into the corners and just letting that car kind of settle in and then getting back. Let's ride with him. You can hear it. Here it is. So he was off by about the 2 or 3 marker on the fence there. Listen to it slowly getting back into it. Now he's back on it.
Yeah, and sometimes
4, 3, 2. Okay, he's doing it at the 2, kind of rolling off.
You see how he lets the car bite before he starts rolling back into gas?
Yeah.
That's something we're not seeing from a lot of the IndyCar guys, which is very odd. Because here with an IndyCar, you do that. You roll out of the throttle, you feel the front wing bite, and then you don't roll back gently into the gas. In an open wheel car with all the aero, you can slam the
right.
gas.
In the Indy cars, we're kind of almost up by that wall now, the way that we run our fast laps around here.
Yeah, the ultimate lap is still in lane 2, but
yeah,
in the race you want to be right up next to the wall in that PJ1 because there's so much grip, and you get that boundary layer of air between those between the wings and the wall, and it really you can really just hook the corner around there. But amazingly smooth for Greg Evans. He's almost completely off the corner before he gets back in the gas.
Yep, he is. Kind of heard it right there. Here's Reagan getting around lap traffic. That is Big John. And then right in front of Big John is Lewis Hayes. Goodman in pit. That is his scheduled stop. He's coming in at 54.
Next up on the hit parade, by the way, for Greg Evans, Lionel Callisto. He's only about 10 seconds up the road.
I think everyone's pitting before then, though, I think.
Oh, but very, very surprised that Lionel hasn't stopped. Very surprised, given the amount of damage that thing has. It has no television panel, and no, Gary Nelson did not rig that to fall off. That's crash damage. The front end is a crooked smiley face, and it appears as though the thing is way yawed out too. Going on board with Lionel.
Yeah, put a little eye there and a little eye there, and he's got this crooked mouth and no nose, but an upset car nevertheless.
Going on board within the hood. Going board within the hood is shaking back and forth, and he's going almost 90 degrees over on the wheel.
All right, pit road.
He's finally gonna pull it up.
He knows that we're watching.
He's poor Lionel Callisto's had enough, I think.
Well, we can't say poor because the man is the current reigning and defending Truck Series champion.
Tell you what, anybody that has to drive a car that's that evil, and that thing, and he does take the fast repair, but anybody has to drive a car that evil, I don't care points leader or not, you got to feel sorry for him. It's no fun just hanging on, and we'll see if he can make some kind of a charge back up through here again.
And he does go down a lap. Here comes the leader to try to put him down another lap, but I don't think the leader is really going to catch him, whatever, with new tires on at this point. But 59 of 150. So you were talking about how long they could go on a tank of fuel. We thought the window would open at 50, and we were right. But now, if I wanted to do this in 3 stops, I want to do this in 2 stops. So that's going to be a 3-stint race. What am I looking at? So let's do the math here real quick.
100 would be the next window. If you want to go 1 stop, you got to make it to 75.
Yeah. So 150 divided by 3 is going to be, so that'll be 4 50-lap stints.
Greg Evans is going to come to pit road. Leader.
There he is. We're watching him right now. Callisto, purple lap. That was a little bit of anger there, I'm willing to bet.
I guarantee you there is a little bit of red mist under the helmets of the driver of the Deuce, for sure.
Yeah, so to get to 2 stops, I don't think anyone's going to get there now, to be honest, as 75. So 61 laps in for our leader, Greg Evans. He pits at lap 60, so we would expect him in at 120-ish. And then he'll probably put on tires and then set a whole bunch of Red Bull laps at the very end of this race on light fuel and good tires. And maybe set an exclamation point on this thing. We'll see. We've got a long way to go. Can't assume that Greg's going to win this thing, but man, is he making it look easy right now. Sam Crow is your leader as he is now on pit road. Rigney right with him on pit road. So Greg's going to pick up the lead right now, and he's back in the lead.
Igny and Crow were the last two to stop, which of course will hand it back to Sam Crow. I would suspect Chris Reagan will go back to second, Stretch Armstrong to third. Pepto Joe with the short pit. He stopped at 49. He's going to come out of this deal in
Yeah, he's fourth, but he's got to maybe save some fuel.
I don't think he's going to have to save fuel, but he's going to have to save his tires. Because he's going to have Michael Goodman 6 laps better on tires, and Goodman's going to start catching him rather rapidly. And then, if I'm not mistaken, which I've been known to be mistaken, Jake Euler and Matt Wagner are going to come along on 10-lap better tires. So they're 5 laps better than Goodman. And those guys are going to be substantially quicker than Pepto Joe. Matter of fact, since we've been talking about it, Michael Goodman's cut half a second out of what was a 2.2 second deficit. So I'm gonna expect fourth place to change hands here. Oh, let's give it another 3 or 4 laps, but Goodman will be by Pepto Joe here pretty quickly.
So Pepto Joe last stopped at 49. So I think if anyone took notice of that, maybe something to keep track of for late in the race, maybe stopping a little bit early, try to get the jump on positions, and then hope and pray either for some caution or being able to defend for enough laps in order to hold off. But you're right, here comes Michael Goodman with a head full of steam, looking at the backside of Pepto Joe going into 3. Joe is running basically in the tire tracks of Stretch right now as they come off 4 down the main straightaway here. And he's there now. Oh, a little bit of a power slide off of 2, though. Getting exciting. He wants those positions.
Easy to do.
Yeah, he wants those positions. Remember, Goodman has finished on the podium here the last couple of races in a row, so he sees another podium opportunity right in front of him. And I think Pepto wisely lets him by.
Yeah, and I would expect, Goodman to go by Armstrong here too. That little situation with Evans, it really closed up Armstrong and Goodman behind him. They short pitted him by 10 and 6 laps respectively, and they picked up about 3 seconds on the road. Now they're going to lose that on the back end most likely, but it did shave into that lead a little bit.
So 68 of 150 coming to the halfway point here relatively quickly. It'll be 75 here. And Goodman is now to the rear bumper of Stretch. Oh, car a little over-rotated there, a little more than he wanted to. He's going to stay there, though. And he's going to set it in there. And,
oh, we got a little bit of door banging.
Bang, bang, bang.
There's still door banging. Free donuts for everybody. Michael Goodman does take third place off of Pat Armstrong.
Rigney's coming now.
But not.
Rigney's coming through, but Rigney's also a lap down, so because he pitted much later than everyone.
Yeah, he's on by far the freshest tires in the field. He's got a couple of laps in hand over Jake
Just
Euler
turns
even.
right underneath the Stretch there. Let's go through the field real quick. Evans is our leader. He is the leader by 4 seconds over Chris Reagan. There is Chris Reagan coming off of 4. These two have kind of been in a class nearly by themselves all race long. Michael Goodman, who just made a move past Stretch for third, is now currently holding down third. And currently it's going to get passed by Rigney, who has slightly fresher tires, but Rigney just stopped not too long ago, so there he goes on by, going to the bottom there on the racetrack, the very first lane. The power of new shoes here at New Hampshire. Stretch Armstrong, he is fourth. He started from the pole. Pepto Joe is fifth by virtue of a really good pit strategy to move him up a couple of positions. Looking pretty good. Jake Euler right behind him in sixth. Matt Wagner back in seventh, just keeping everything in front of him. Expect to see him start making moves here later in the second half of the race, as he tends to always do. Lionel Callisto now is eighth after hitting pit road and getting everything recovered, repaired and recovered after getting into something during that first stint. We're not sure what happened, but he is nice. Eighth. Ninth is Richie Hearn. There is Richie right there. And Sam Crow is in 10th. And then the first car one lap down is Rigney. He's 11th. Big John Van Voorellis, he is 12th. And Say Hey Hayes is 13th. He started off his day bad with an incident that looked like it really destroyed his right front. And he had to use that fast repair really early, like lap 3. So he's just really wanting to bring this thing home nice, safe, and sound for the man who's 7th in the point standings.
So I figured out what happened to Lionel Callisto. He was involved in that first lap fracas with Say Hey Lewis Hayes, Sam Crow.
Oh, okay.
Wagner, all those guys. But it was the reason we didn't call it was that it was a massive net code.
Oh.
So Say Hey Lewis Hayes bounces off a Crow, bounces in the wall, and the sim codes it as him hitting Callisto, but there's at least a foot there. And then Hugo Gallas comes along and modifies the rear end for Lionel. And that's the rear television panel gone. Also causing damage, which forces Gallas to retire. So that's what happened all the way back at lap 2 to Lionel Callisto. And he's somehow 8th on the lead lap. 18 seconds in a rear. So he's made up 4 seconds on Greg Evans since he pitted. He also has the purple lap. Again, probably a little bit of red mist under the helmet of the Dukes.
Right, I bet.
And remember, I said, you can kind of see the driving. Said we talked about Greg Evans. He's really easy into the corners. He's being very kind to those tires. Lionel Callisto is dirt tracking it through the corners. He's got the rear end all yawed out. He's letting the thing slide up to the PJ1 and then hammering the gas coming down the hill, trying to make up time. He's got opposite lock coming off of turn number 4 there. Just driving the wheels off of that thing. He's making up time, though, running basically the same speeds as Evans is in the lead.
Riding with him. We're past halfway point, 77 to 150 now. Into the books. And he is chasing down, and that group right in front of him, that is for position. You see Matt Wagner. It'll be better here when we get on this next. These cars right here. That is Matt Wagner. That is for position, and he is trying to track them down. In fact, who is in front of Wagner is for position.
See how much more aggressive when we were on board with Callisto. See how much more aggressive he is.
Yeah.
Getting in and off the corner. I mean, just 2 completely different approaches, and they're basically running identical lap times. That lap Callisto was a tenth faster, but they're basically running identical times, which is amazing to me. Now, Callisto's probably going to be able to do it in the short term. I don't think he's going to be able to keep these tires under him for a full 61 lap run. That's for certain sure. But he's definitely catching Wagner, and definitely just, I mean, he looks like he's running a USAC sprint car off of turns 2 and 4.
And Wagner around Pepto Joe. You might have saw that in the front there. So move Wagner now up to 6th. Pepto Joe back to 7th. And then that is Van Ellis in front of Wagner, who is a lap down.
Yes, it is. And then from here, you've got another couple of seconds up to Stretch Armstrong running 5th, Euler 4th. Wagner on much better tires than Armstrong, even with Euler more or less. Goodman is going to start coming back to them guys, I think, because he's about 5 laps short on tires. Matty Wagner going to get to the inside and past Big John Von Varolles and set sail after Stretch Armstrong. See if he can't get the all-tell machine up into the top 5. Of course, Ryan Newman made that scheme famous, an Indiana sprint car driver.
Yep.
Always good to see those.
Yeah, I really like that that foil look. And it's not a. I don't think he drove that livery a lot, did he? It was like a special livery. But I know the Alltel livery, the just standard issue Alltel livery, is what he drove all the time. Predominantly.
Now, if you want to picture something funny, every year at Purdue University, there's something called the Grand Prix. So,
yes.
For those of you not familiar with Indiana colleges, we all do something a little silly that involves racing. And at IU in Bloomington, they have the Little 500, which is of course a 500-lap bicycle race that organizations train for all year. At Ball State, we dress up in crazy costumes and race what amount to rolling hospital beds from the 60s down Riverside Avenue in crazy costumes.
That sounds more like what Red Bull Flugtag is.
Yeah, I was the winner my junior year at Ball State. Thankfully, I was dressed in my karting suit with crash helmet.
Oh, jeez.
And was removed from the bed in a collision, and thankfully I was wearing my helmet. I did not participate the next year, by the way. And then,
but go ahead, continue. Go ahead and continue with. I know there's a Purdue tie-in here with Grand Prix. Go ahead. We're watching a battle here between Lionel Callisto and Richie Hearn, which is really the closest battle on the racetrack. This is 8th, 9th, and 10th all in a row right now. Richie Hearn to the inside. I think these tires for Callisto are gone.
Yeah, he abused him pretty hard. So to finish that off, Purdue University has the Grand Prix, which is engineering school. Makes sense. IU has the bike race, and you can do that at anywhere. And Ball State, of course, the silliness. Anybody who's ever been around the state of Indiana for 2 minutes knows Ball State's not all that serious of a place most of the time. And then you get to Purdue, the engineering school, so they race go-karts.
Go-karts, yeah.
Specially made track. Yeah. Ryan Newman is a past champion of that event. So if you ever want a mental image that'll give you a chuckle, picture Ryan Newman in a go-kart.
Yeah, we were all skinnier back in our college days. Even I was.
Yeah, but Newman still looked like he could have played middle linebacker for the Boilermakers instead of being an
Boilermakers probably could have used him as middle linebacker back then.
They could have. Well, they had pretty good offense back in those days. Those were the Drew Brees.
Well, they needed Drew Brees in offense because they didn't have any defense. They would give up huge leads, and then they would need Brees and Mike Allstott. And Van Ellis getting used as a pick there, causing Callisto to kind of chuck up a little bit there. Yeah, but they had Mike Allstott there. He was their fullback running back in those days.
Yeah, so if anybody who watches the spread offense today that's ubiquitous in college football, you can thank two people for that. Hal Mumme at Kentucky and Joe Tiller at Purdue were the two that really popularized that philosophy. And footballs flew all over West Lafayette for most of my high school and college days. But that was when Newman was there. Was the Breeze time period, if I'm remembering correct. It might have been the next guy. The quarterback that came after Brees also went to the NFL, but there was a long line of them. But you're right; their philosophy was, we're going to beat you 77-74. Right. We don't play defense.
We don't play defense. So at Indiana State, we had we had two races. We had the the trike race. Now, IU also has a trike race, but that is actually done on children's tricycles. And this is at ISU, the trike race is a modified BMX frame that runs 2 wheels in the back instead of just the one. And that was the trike. So you could actually get up on these things and really put in a good lap if you were good at biking. And one year I actually ran the race, and that's when I actually called the race with Mike King, who was then just a sports director at WTHI in Terre Haute, who now later went on to become the voice of the 500 for a few years before handing that off to, I think he handed it off to Paul Page for a year or so, and then it went to
Mark Janes, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Janes eventually. But yeah, I worked with Mike King, and then that was good for homecoming. And so then they have one in the spring, which was a tandem bike, which typically the fraternities and sororities would pair up. They would be a blind draw, and so a fraternity would be paired up with a sorority. Sometime there would be an extra, like a residence hall involved in there. And my sister, of all people, actually sat on the pole one year.
Now, do they have a strategy where the girl gets on the back of the front of the bike? Sam Crow has gotten around Richie Hearn.
Yeah, watching it right now. Yep. Yeah. So the guy is typically on front, and the girl's job is to bury their face in the guy's back, keep their head down, and pedal like mad. That's what they do on the tandem bikes.
I'm assuming you find the smallest, lightest girl possible would be my guess.
That was
to do that.
Yeah. I don't know how my sister is really related to me. I'm a big guy, and she's never been big, and so somehow she got paired up, and she got on the pole. She started they called them the Hot Wheels. And so she got the Hot Wheel World Award, and I never got that, but that's good on her, because she always kind of followed in my footsteps all the way through high school. I don't know why she followed me to college, but that's one thing that I never got. I never remotely came close to Hot Wheels. I'll say that.
Who's got some Hot Wheels, Gary? Chris Reagan has started to run down Greg Evans a little bit.
All right, let's get on him here. We'll take a look. 94 of 150.
He's catching him. Now, whether he can do anything with him when he gets there is unknown. But he's definitely getting there. And he's getting there rather rapidly. Looking at Greg Evans, I don't see any traffic. Don't see any reason for him
maybe Evans sees that he's got an opportunity that he could try to save a little bit of fuel here, possibly, and just kind of lit off in the course. Let's ride with Evans. We've done that. We've learned a lot on how he's been attacking this racetrack. Let's ride just by riding with him and listening to his engine.
See how much sooner he gets out of it than Callisto was?
Yeah.
And he's off the throttle for so much longer. And you don't see that nasty, well, not nasty, but you don't see that jerk back to the right on the wheel of him, of him power sliding the car off the corner. Yeah,
let's listen to when he rolls out here on the backstretch here. He'll come into those braking turn markers here. So you see the 4, 3. He's out of it before the 2.
Yeah, but those are yards.
Mm-hmm.
Or those, I can't remember. Those are feet. They have to be feet here.
If they were yards, they'd be a lot closer together, yeah. And I think it's 400, 200, 400, 300, 200, 100, yeah.
At the Speedway in Indianapolis, they're in yards, which is fun. You look down there and you're like, dang, that's a football field. But just interesting to see how ginger he is.
This is actually from inside the cockpit. He is coming up on Say Hey Lewis Hayes, who is up in that fourth lane, just trying to make it to the finish here. I believe Say Hey Hayes is might be on his last set of tires too, so he's going to make this last set go an extra long way.
Yeah, and that's not going to be fun for him. Chris Reagan has now. Greg Evans must be watching because he's picked up the pace.
Yep, I just noticed that too. He's up to, it was near 4 flat. Now it's back down to 4 flat now.
Still a couple of tenths quicker for Chris Reagan, but it's not the half second it was a few minutes ago, for sure. And of course, Greg Evans going to get, he's going to take his time here with Say Lewis Hayes. There's no reason he's not under immediate threat. No reason to get excited here. Just take your time and
sure. 50 to go. Window is open for final stops to now commence. Who will be the first to make the dive down the pit road? And I think it's Pepto Joe again.
That would definitely track. He's made it to lap 100 now, so 3 even stints.
This will be his last set of tires.
Still taking his time. One of the things I was going to say is I didn't realize, I'm watching the gyro cam, not necessarily the cockpit cam for Greg Evans. That first lane down there is actually flat. If you watch it, he's crossing down onto that, and that'll de-wedge the car, and it'll tighten it up for him a little bit, which could be the reason you're not seeing Greg Evans have the show of fun coming off the corners as he's getting down on the track.
Speaking of show of fun, Lionel Callisto just had it coming off of 2. You saw that on the as we were watching Pepto Joe come up to speed. He just did a whole power slide coming off of 2.
Is Lionel wearing white gloves? Because if he's not, he should be.
Check the inside. I can't really rotate to the inside here. We see from this angle in the cockpit. Maybe he is actually, but it's hard to see through the window. Oh, another power slide again.
Every time Lionel Callisto comes off the corner, he about gives me a heart attack, and I think we're going to lose the caution.
Armstrong is on pit road. Big John, I think, just was on pit. No, I thought he was, but he's not. Never mind. He pitted on 58. He was just taking a different line down the backstretch. Never mind. Sam Crow? Yeah, Sam Crow on pit road.
Now the advantage of staying out here, one, you're gonna have a shorter pit stop for our viewers at home. You're gonna have a shorter pit stop, so less fuel. That'll change the handling. Remember, fixed setup. So that's one of the only things that you can do to change the handling on these cars. Less fuel in these machines, less weight in the back. It's gonna pin the nose down a little bit. It's gonna free it up. You're gonna have a little bit less wear on the rear tires. You're gonna have a shorter pit stop also. But the other thing is you're not gonna experience the fall off. You're documented at least a second and a half a lap, unless you're Greg Evans. So,
another car on pit road. Who is that? Callisto on pit road.
The longer you go, the faster you are at the end. You don't have to deal with being uncomfortable, at least at the end of the race. Pepto Joe, I'm watching him close in on Richie Hearn. That's 9th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah, that is a battle for now 6th, 7th, and 8th. Oh, Richie about kissing the wall off of 2 there. A little puff of smoke.
Have to assume
Chris Reagan on pit road.
Probably.
Chris Reagan on pit road. Final stop for him at 106. We expect Evans right around 120, somewhere in there.
So that's going to be Chris Reagan's bid to try to get to Greg Evans. That's going to be him saying, okay, look, I don't think I can catch it straight up. It's about 4 seconds. Let me see if I can short pitch a 15 laps. And maybe, just maybe, when you come out, I'm going to make you pass me. That has to be the strategy. We'll see if Greg Evans covers him off here. I suspect he will not, given his pace advantage. But that's the thought process here. Let me short pit him. Let me get out ahead of him. And then, I'm going to make him go around me, essentially.
Evans still your leader out on the racetrack. Lap 108, 47 laps. Now 48 laps on this current stint. Then Jake Euler. He is currently second and coming to pit road right now. 48 laps on his stint. Matt Wagner is third. Picking up now second by Euler on pit road. We'll reset the field here once everybody makes their second stops here. Now here comes Reagan with fresh tires. Here's your leader. Right in front of him. So Evans is a lap down there, but here's Greg Evans. Here comes Chris Reagan. Look at this. Here, look at this. Now he just dives down. Diamond's off that corner, aggressively coming off 4. He's there. He's going to take a look into the inside this time. Not going to quite be close enough, but he's got a good run. He's to the bumper. Steers down.
Going to get him down the back.
Yeah, he will get him down the back stretch.
If not, then into turn 3. Now, this does something else. If Evans wanted to pit here, he can't without giving up a ton of time. And he's not going to this lap. So Greg Evans, he's going to go one more. This will also put Chris Reagan back on the lead lap. So
yeah.
If my ball state math, he is 0.8 of a second a lap quicker than Greg Evans that time. So
turning laps in the 114, and Evans turning laps in 111. So 3 mile per hour a lap faster. Reagan is right
now. Evans has got to see this and come to pit road. Just giving up so much time. Stays out one more time though.
I think he's confident in his driving skills. I think he's just going to hit his number and do his plan. I know some people begin to panic when they see certain things happen in front of them. I think he'll just hit his number. But you're right, Evans.
I don't know that
Reagan will actually Wagner, who hasn't stopped either. Reagan will actually pick up the lead for a little bit on this run.
He is, and look, there's sticking to your plan, but what's the saying go? Your plan never survives first contact with the enemy. Well, we know you're going to lose a lap at least, and so yeah, Greg Evans is going to come out of here. He's going to put new tires on, and when he does, he's going to turn that car into a rocket ship. The same with noted stock car driver Matty Wagner. The issue is, is he going to have enough time? If he stops at 120. He stops at 120. He's only going to have 30 laps to make up what may be, an 8 or 9 second advantage at that point. And then you're going to run your tires.
Oh, side by side battle here between Hearn and Goodman.
There we go. Richie on the outside. Michael Goodman going to dive it down to the bottom. Richie Hearn going to try to pull the crossover. Kind of thinks better of it, I think. Michael Goodman on a little bit fresher tires. Goodman with the spot.
Stretch getting around Van Voor Ellis. That's just for track position. Stretch in 8th. Greg Evans still turning laps, going out of 2 now. 116 of 150, so about another 4 more laps before we expect him to hit pit road. Wagner probably on a very similar schedule. Wagner pitted about 2 laps earlier than Evans did last time. He pitted on 59.
Yeah, and you can go 60.
That's 118, so we're anytime in the next 2 laps. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you mentioned that in the pre-race. You can go about 63.
Just waiting on that money stop, Gary.
Yeah, that's what we're all waiting for right here. There is Reagan. Already put a big gap between himself and Evans. Purple lap still belongs to Callisto. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, okay, you know, he's going to come in, he's going to have fresh tires. He's going to be, golly, he's going to be at least 6, 7, 8 seconds behind here.
Well, maybe he's not making the right call. We'll see.
Wagner in,
final stop. Right at where we expected them. 59 times 2, 118 on schedule. So now another 2 more laps, and we expect Evans in. 2 more laps or so.
Now, this is going to be fun to watch. The 7 and the 12, once they've made their stops, are going to be quite a bit quicker than everybody else. Chris Reagan's lap times are already creeping back up to that 32.5-second bracket. I expect
here Evans, it is, pit road coming to 120. And the other key thing here is I'm not questioning his driving ability, because he seems to be spot on at everything he does, but this is where you do not want to make any mistakes. Final stop. There's not enough time to recover from any mistakes on a final stop.
This is Mark's perfect, Gary. Right side up in the air, left side going up in the air.
Down and away.
Expect, and there he goes. So the stop was just, you know, basically tires. The fuel was top.
Reagan is your leader. So he is at the. They have a straightaway difference between himself and Reagan with 30 to go. Plenty of time. 6 seconds is the deficit for Evans to overcome here in this last 30 laps. A comparison of the stops. Chris Reagan on pit lane, 34.8 seconds. In the box, 11.2. Evans on pit lane, 37.4 seconds. In the box, 14.5 seconds. So he was on the lane about 3 seconds longer, and in the box about 3 seconds longer.
At least in NASCAR, they don't hit the fueler in the back with a stick, do they?
Well, they could if they wanted to, I guess. So let's watch. It always watch this number right here. Then I got and Evans. There you go. Purple 118.3. 118.3. That's in miles per hour. But this thing that I'm circling right here. That's the gap. That's the gap to the leader, Reagan. 4.4 seconds now. 4.3 seconds. He's turning lap of 118.3 last time. Reagan, a 113 flat. So 5 miles per hour difference.
Full lap that time, Greg Evans. 31.175. A full second and a half quicker than Chris Reagan.
He's now got it down to 3 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say he's cut it in half.
At the start of this, remember, Reagan was at the other end of the straightaway. Now Reagan is basically in the middle of the straightaway when he starts coming off the corner.
Evans has the hammer down, and I'm watching Wagner. He's not really making all that much progress. He is quicker than the cars in front of him, but he's not torn through the field in the same way that Evans is tearing apart the gap in front. Wagner's still stuck behind John Van Veralis, and those guys are more or less a straightaway from going a lap down. Meanwhile, Evans, another second that time almost.
Now let's really quick while we got a chance to reset the field for everybody. Reagan is your leader. Right behind him there is Evans. Evans now 2.4 seconds. By the time we're probably done with this reset, we probably should go cycle right back up to the leaders because they'll probably be there. There is P3. Jake Euler very quietly has worked his way into the bottom step position. Now, does he have the time and the tires to hold off Michael Goodman, who currently is in 4th? But there is about 5 seconds between those two, so he definitely has a little bit of a gap to help defend. Richie Hearn working on a top 5, but Pepto Joe right behind him. This is a battle for position. Pepto Joe wants that top 5. Not too far out of this battle. Back there in 7th, there's Stretch Armstrong. So there's 3 cars, 5th, 6th, and 7th, pretty close proximity. Also not far out of this battle is P8, Sam Crow, as he's trying to work his way into another good paying position. Pepto Joe wide off the corner, so that's going to give, or at least keep the position with Hearn. But now it's going to allow Stretch to get even closer now. Matt Wagner, as I was mentioning to Callisto, has just not been having a great day, but he's worked his way to 9th. Matt Wagner making his last pit stops, going to run down Callisto here momentarily. And he will want to get ahead of Callisto because that will be a battle of championship implications as Wagner, one of the points leaders now. He is in 10th. Callisto in 9th. Rigney is in 11th, 2 laps down. He's just looking to get a good solid finish. Also on the 2 laps down, Big John Vanvor Ellis here is in 12th. And Sehey Hayes, who is now coming off of pit road for his final stop, is in 13th. 5 laps down, kind of all on a schedule all his own right now. Going back up to the front, though, there's that battle, and I told you, by the time we were done with this, it would be a lot closer, and it is, as right now, Greg Evans is filling up the rearview mirror of Chris Reagan with about 20 laps to go. And I don't think it's going to take that long.
Well, Reagan's only shot here is he's gonna have to force Evans to drive around him. So he's going to have to get down on the bottom where Evans has been running. And you see he's trying to kind of do it, but he's charging a corner a lot more than Evans is. See how much quicker Evans is through the center there?
Yep.
Because he's backing off so much earlier. Chris Reagan just can't quite get down there. So he's gonna have to choose. You almost have to choose where you want the guy to beat you. Do you want him to beat you in the corner, or you want him to beat you off of the corner, or you want him to beat you through the middle? He's going to be better somewhere. So you're going to have to, if you're Evans, or not Evans, if you're Reagan, your goal here is to choose where you want him to be.
He's just going to keep the nose underneath him, going down the front straight, not clear.
Now, see, Reagan has been running that 3rd lane this entire race. As soon as Evans got to him, he dropped down into that 2nd lane. He's really trying to take that advantage away. Evans has been consistently on the bottom much more than anybody else. But now, see, Reagan's running down there too. He's saying, okay, you're going to have to drive around me. You're going to have to find your own way. I'm not going to let you have what you've been doing this entire time. And rightfully so, and kudos to Chris Reagan. He's making this a lot tougher.
He is making it a lot tougher. And he cuts off the outside line there. I thought this was going to be over a lot quicker than it has been so far, as Chris is very defensively driving here.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. He's doing everything he should be doing.
Right.
Doing everything he should be doing, and we're 17 laps to the end of this thing, and every lap that goes by, that tire advantage fades a little bit more and a little bit more for Greg Evans. So the longer this goes, the better it is for Chris.
Now, does Greg just remain patient here and possibly let the race come to him, or does he have to go to the chrome horn? We have not seen a lot of that in ISRA racing. Again, a lot of the IndyCar drivers do not like to give the chrome horn. Normally that means a penalty back in the old Lionheart days. whereas the stock car drivers are a lot more used to giving the chrome horn. He's going to get a good run off the corner, down, cuts underneath him, getting a run down the backstretch, but he's not getting a good run down the backstretch, and that's going to still allow Reagan to close the door going into 3. Still on the bottom, coming to 135 of 150.
It's almost going down in a corner. It's almost like he goes down in a corner, and to negate that advantage that Greg Evans has over everybody in the middle of the corner, it's almost like Chris Reagan's going in there and parking it. Right, so he's deliberately laying out of the gas longer than Evans wants to, and so it negates that advantage, and he can't quite build a run. Evans is going to have to go to the high side, I think, if he wants to win this race. You are not going to be able to get Chris Reagan off the bottom unless you've got a crowbar, a police badge, or a stick of dynamite. He is not leaving the bottom of that racetrack. Evans is going to have to drive around it. And also, you know, you got to think about this too. You got Mike Rigney coming up. Rigney's on fresh tires, and he wants his lap back. Well within his rights to stick his nose in there too. As we get down into 13, 14 laps to go.
Yeah, Rigney's currently in 11th. 2 laps down, actually. So he'd be getting 1 lap back, and then he'd still have another lap to go. Reagan letting that right rear kind of hang out in that second lane a little bit, giving Evans a little bit of pause before making that run on the outside. I really can't believe how long this battle has lasted. I thought it was going to be over a lot quicker. Kudos to freaking Chris Reagan.
Yeah, I mean he's given a doctoral thesis on how to keep the faster car behind you. See how he's driving in a lot. He's driving in a lot deeper, but then he gets down to the center of the corner. He's on the line that Greg Evans wants, and then he just I'm not going to say he parks the car, but he's so much slower in the center that it keeps Evans from building a run. And every time Evans can see, now he goes up to lane 2 just enough to kind of shut that run off, slows the car up enough to turn it, and then Evans has to alter his line, and he can't
get there.
Can't get there. Evans is almost going to have to go to the cushion. he's almost going to have to make like he's Richard Petty or Harry Gant in the old days. I don't think he's going to be able to drive under him.
Now he is backing off way earlier than Reagan is, so he still is doing his easy in, hard off type approach.
Well, but you can't hit the gas if you can't hit the gas if there's a car right on your front bumper.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Right. So Reagan is effectively choosing when to start the drag race. And
he gets a bit of a run about 3/4 of the way through the turn. I'm wondering maybe later in this he's just going to kind of send it and see what happens. Oh, here goes again.
I think he's going to have to build. Yeah, you see, he's not going to
10 to go. Coming 10 to go.
He's going to have to get up in that like 3rd or 4th lane and really just build up, almost like you'd see at Texas, where you got somebody running the bottom and somebody running the top in turn. When you build up such a run that they just can't shut it down, he's almost going to have to do that.
This is turning into a heck of a finish. I really would have thought that this battle would have been over about 20 laps ago, and it has persisted here since he's caught him. This has persisted, been just like this for the better part of the last 20 laps. And now we're less than 10 to go. Go ahead.
I'm going to tell you something. These guys are 3 to 4 tenths a lap off the pace. That's how much Chris Reagan is backing up Greg Evans. 33.490 that time for Chris Reagan. Jake Euler in 3rd place, 33.119. They are 0.3 of a second off the pace, 0.4 off from Michael Goodman in 4th. They are running slow up here. And that's because the tires on Chris Reagan's 19 machine are gone. Much better ones on the 7. he just can't find a way around him. Just can't quite make it stick. I thought he was going to go to the top, but he can't do it.
Oh, he got a little squirrely. He's going to take a peek to the inside maybe now. Going to run down the inside. No.
Look at Chris Reagan got such a run. Now he's got to the outside. Okay, now he's got to the outside. But he got tight over there and he couldn't do it. And Reagan powers off the corner. Now car length advantage at the line.
Euler 2.8. Euler though, he's pushing. You just saw him take a shot to the inside. Car got loose coming off of 4.
Now I know there's only 5 laps left at the line, Gary. But these two need to be careful. They're doing this. They might screw around and let Jake Euler into this battle, too.
There he is right there. And Euler's going down to the apron to help his car rotate. And he is all over the bottom lane. And now it actually seems that Reagan is getting a little bit of a cushion over Reagan as the tires are now giving out and the aero push is affecting how these cars handle.
I still cannot believe that the 7 has not gone to the top. He's committed to that bottom, and he's not getting.
Coming to 5 to go. Just over 5 miles left in this race. And I think I say Hey Hayes in the background there, leading by Euler. Euler is now 2.1 seconds now to this battle. He's going to run out of time, but he's going to make it close.
You want to talk about somebody that's sending it. Jake Euler was sideways.
Watch this. Watch him. He's putting it. The last couple laps, he was putting it down on the apron to help him rotate. But he's at 118.1 last time by. This time by, almost getting the wall there. A 118.9, a 111.8 and a 111.9, so almost identical. Let's get back to the battle at the front. 111.6 last time by for Evans. 111.8 last time by for Reagan was a 111.6. Excuse me. I'm fighting the urge to say Chris Evans. That's what I'm trying. I don't want to. No Captain America's here, but 2 solid Americans running at the front, and he's got a bumper with 4 to go, coming to 3 to go. He's there.
Reagan's going to drive it in really hard on the outside. Now he's going to try to pinch him off the bottom, take the run off the high side down the back. Even Steven as they get to the middle of the backstretch. Chris Reagan a nose ahead. He's going to have to do it again here.
Yeah, I think that's clear now just about. And it took 25 plus laps, but it looks like Evans managed to work his way around Reagan. And so now, can he hang on? Does Reagan have anything left for him as he looks to the inside? 2 laps to go. And he's starting now to pull away a little bit. Evans power slides off the corner, and I think that might be game over for those tires. But he sure as heck made Evans earn it. Evans coming to the white flag.
But the only shot Chris Reagan had was the next corner. Just see if he could full send it underneath. And you're not going to see Chris Reagan do that. Much too clean of a driver. Well done to Greg Evans out of turn 2. That smooth style on the bottom, down the backstretch. He's going to lift early going into 3.
He's already pulled out to a 1.5 seconds or 1.2 second lead. Just easy in, easy out of corner number 4. Looking for 3 for 3 here in the series. And he does it here at the Magic Mile. And what a final stint battle that was. I think it's probably one of the finest final stint battles we've seen in a while here.
Yeah. Kudos to Chris Reagan and Greg Evans. Chris Reagan for holding on those old tires. And he's going to give Evans a donut down the back. The host with the most, Mike Rigney, is going to do a little bit more than the donuts. Well done to both of them. Just again, it proves the point. You don't have to. Excuse me. You don't have to run over each other to have a good race.
Right.
I don't think those touched.
No, they never did. And here you go. That is your final stats. And I want to type this in. I do want to type in the find out what the race pace was, because 32.888. Not a bad, no cautions. And once again, as illustrated by right here. And Evans is your winner. He did a two-stopper, gained 12 spots, led 104 laps. Another race of domination for Greg Evans. Chris Reagan almost came within 5 miles of really holding off Evans for the win. Finishes second. He led 45 laps there at the very tail end of the race. Jake Euler, very quietly, late start, improved 1 spot, and gets the bottom step of the podium. Michael Goodman misses the podium for another consecutive race here. He just missed the podium, so this would have been, if he would have made the podium, it would have been, I think, 2 or 3 in a row for him. Just missed it this time, but he's 4th, so that's going to be a good points day nevertheless. Matt Wagner, very quietly, up to 5th. Pepto Joe 6th. Sam Crow 7th, Lionel Callisto 8th, Richie Hearn 9th. Stretch started from the pole, but didn't quite go the way he wanted there towards the end. He finishes 10th. Rigney 11th, Big John 12th, Say Hey Lewis Hayes in 13th. Going on, and Gallas retired early due to incidents, but they are 14th and 15th. Not a bad showing, everybody involved.
I mean, just another tremendous show out of this group, and again, another thought-provoking, almost cerebral race, wasn't it?
Yes, very much so.
You gotta ask Chris Reagan what the rears were at the end.
Hopefully he has all that recorded so he can tell you. But let's see. Let's get Jake Euler in here first, if he's available. Let's check the channels and see where he might be.
He's down there. I got him. Here he is.
Hey, Jake Euler. I believe if not your first race, it's your second. But first of all, welcome to the league, and then welcome to the podium, and welcome to the booth here. Congratulations. Talk about your race. I tell you, if there was another maybe 20 laps to go, you were kind of running down those guys as they were battling each other there at the end.
Yeah. No, thank you. It's been it was my first race. Man, it was hard. It was going full 150 laps with no caution. I don't think I've sweated this much in a very, very long time. But yeah, if I had 20 more laps, I think I might have had a chance for it. I took a chance on right side tires the last pit stop. So I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Probably should have taken all 4, but I don't know. Overall, I'm very happy, very pleased with the race. Did not expect to come in and do that well. So,
well, that's kind of the MO of the league, is to go caution-free. So not prepared for that, but I guess going forward, I guess you got to kind of keep like 2 strategies coming into the race. One, if there's a caution, and no if. Second strategy, if there is no caution. Did you really think that there would be a possibility of no cautions really as you got into this thing?
After the first 50 laps, that's when it kind of set in. I'm like, all right, this is probably going to go green. Everybody out there racing was super respectful, and it's just really good experience. So yeah, I'm glad it went green. To me, there's nothing better than the whole green flag race.
Tell us about it. I'm glad that you had a very positive experience in your first race and finishing 3rd here and everything. Normally what we do when we invite you up to the booth is we give you the opportunity to kind of make some shout outs to friends, families, anybody might be watching, loved ones, sponsors. So go right ahead, sir. By virtue of finishing 3rd, you're in an opportunity.
Yeah. First off, I'd like to thank Joe Flanagan, teammate over at FXBG Racing. Everybody there puts in hard work. Practicing every week. I'd like to thank Team Conti for their support. and Sim Racing Apparel. Like thank them as well. Check them out, simracingapparel.com. But yeah, that's it. Mom, Dad, thank you, my wife, for letting me do this.
No, that's the important one right there. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. She's probably waiting for me. But yeah, I mean, mainly her. It's your loved ones give up a lot.
Yes,
You
they do.
Something like this for a couple hours, and
But it made it all the better with no caution, so you're available earlier now.
Exactly. Yep.
Although you might need to go freshen up a little bit, because I would imagine everyone else has kind of worked that steering wheel kind of hard for 150 laps. That probably works up a little bit of a sweat. But congratulations. We hope to see you at Atlanta next week, and welcome to the league.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. See you there.
All right. And now let's bring up Chris Reagan, kind of the man of the hour, really. I know that Evans won, but let's bring up Chris. Hey, Chris, got you here in chat. Man, so close, man. If you go back and watch the replay, you'll hear me say I expect this battle to be over soon. And that was 25 laps later, and then he finally got around to passing you. You put on a hell of a battle there, coming within 5 miles of really winning this thing. And with the way that Evans has really come on to this league, I would have really kind of considered that a bit of an upset. But you two, aside from that battle, you two were kind of best in class all day long. You're the only one that could keep him in sight. And then when the battle came for the end, you're about the only car that could actually kind of battle him off there at the end for an opportunity to win. I know that the second step is probably not exactly where you wanted, but man, what an effort. A great show, and it put on a great broadcast, I think. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you guys. You guys make this extra fun, even though we don't see the cameras, we know it's broadcasted. We know you guys are out there. It's fun for us to put on some type of show, and yeah, that battle was fantastic. That guy is insanely good. I had it in my head. I was talking to Richie. I'm like, I think I'm going to pit at lap 100 and take just 2 tires and fuel, because I knew I could make it. And then I'm like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I might as well just accept second place. But then like lap 108 came, I'm like, I'm going to pit on lap 110. So I pitted, and then I think I charged a little bit too hard because I was trying to gap him. Like I caught him right out of the pits. I passed him in a couple laps, and I was like just trying to open up this gap because I knew he was going to be fast. I mean, the guy is insanely good, super clean too, which was great. But I knew I knew he was going to chase me down. And then when he got behind me, I could feel it. I was driving, and he was just sitting there. And I'm like, he's going to get me. I was talking to Richie like the whole time. I'm like, he's just messing with me. He's going to get me. So really thank you for him for passing me so clean. We were, him and who was I with at the beginning of the race? Who qualified number 1 or number 2? He was really clean.
Stretch Armstrong, Pat.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, he was really clean too. Those guys, I don't race with those guys that often because they're newer, and really great add-ons to the league. So thank you guys. Thank you, Rigney, for putting it on again. And yeah, I'm actually extremely happy with second place because I struggled in practice, and I will take it. Caution free again. This league is just, exceeding expectations with how clean and close you can battle. So it's really great.
Shout outs, friends, family, sponsors, anything else you'd like to say? Go right ahead. You earned it. We'll have it updated here in points as well. So I would suspect you've moved up a little bit in the points, but go right ahead.
I always got to thank Richie. Richie keeps my mind in the game while we're driving, even though he's driving, because I get a little impatient sometimes. It's my wife's birthday actually today.
Happy birthday, wife.
Yeah, she's 29 for like the 14th time. So
I understand that. I understand that. Yes.
But she doesn't care that I race even on her birthday, so that's great. And again, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate your broadcast. We always, at least me and Richie go back and watch them. You guys do a great job, even when you're by yourself. Thank you, Rigney. And I'll always say thank you to George from Lionheart because, he got the core group of guys together, and then Rigney just expanded off of that. So thank you to everybody that makes this happen.
Well, thanks for putting on a heck of a battle. That was really, really fun to watch, and you did not make me look smart at all. I thought that was going to be a couple. Once he got to your bumper, I thought he would just hang around there for a lap or so and just blow you back. But man, you just made your car as wide and as fast as possible, and almost did it. Just what a great battle there at the end. Congrats on second, but I don't think in this very short history of these two leagues with the trucks and with the Xfinity cars, I don't think we've seen a great battle like that at the end. So thank you very much, man. And we hope to see you at Atlanta.
Yeah, thank you guys, and I should be there.
All right. And let's bring up our winner, Greg Evans. And here he is in the booth with us, Greg. Not as easy of a win as it was in before. Chris didn't make it exactly the easiest go in that last stint for you, but you made it work. What were you thinking there in that final battle there? Especially as he held you off lap after lap, and the good of your tires continued to degrade lap after lap.
Yeah, once I caught him, I got I guess a little bit of aero block there, but I was also thinking about just trying to save some tires there for the last 20, 30 laps, just in case a caution did come out. I knew everybody was done with their tires.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of having that in the mindset, and I was like, if I can just wait till about 10 to go and then start really working it. And it worked out, but yeah, he had a fast car too, and but the last 5 laps, I was like, make this work or not. But
well, we were wondering if you were going to run out of time. I mean, but you made it work. But I was telling Chris, is like, just so close. 5 laps. If this would have ended 5 laps earlier, it would have been yours. But you had those extra 5 miles. You made it work. You got to his inside coming down the front straight. And then once you got to the inside and got that bumper and then the rest of the car alongside, it was kind of elementary at that point. He made it tough for you for that one lap, but then after that, once you kind of pulled ahead and cleared, then you kind of really put on the burners and pulled out to about a 1.5 lead or 1.2 second lead. So yeah, you were working them and it looked close, but man, once you got by him though, you kind of put an exclamation point on it.
Yeah, while I was riding behind him, I was like, man, the car feels really good. Like I felt like I could go at any point. And then, like, as soon as I decided to go, I changed my mind. I was like, well, maybe I didn't save as much as I thought I did, and maybe the car didn't feel as good as I thought it was. But yeah, man, it was a really good race. He raced me clean. I appreciate that, and man, just a tough battle those last 10 laps. But like I said, it all worked out, and looking forward to next week.
And next week is Atlanta. So you've won the last 3 and 2 1-mile ovals, although they can't be any more different in terms of 1-mile ovals, Dover and New Hampshire. But Charlotte's kind of like Atlanta a little bit. I suspect that Atlanta is a place that you run pretty well at.
The old Atlanta, yeah. This new Atlanta, I honestly don't even know if I've actually ran a serious lap there yet. It's I don't like restrictor plate racing.
Not many people do.
No, it's a crapshoot pretty much. So usually I have pretty good runs there in restrictor plate races, but man, it's just Atlanta and everybody else, and not really knowing most of the guys here. It's going to be an interesting battle next week.
All right, shout out sponsors, friends, families, teammates, anybody you want to say hi to, go right ahead.
Yeah, definitely got to thank Freightliner, Sim Magic, Sim Labs, and all my teammates over here, Sam Crow, John Van Varelis, Lewis Hayes, Mike Rigney for inviting me, and thank you guys for hosting.
No problem. It's our pleasure. Thanks for being part of this league. Made a great finish here. Of a race that was kind of we were just kind of seeing how the strategy would unfold. We knew that there might be some later stops happening and people might go a little bit longer. And there's only you didn't have like a whole line of tires that you guys could use either. So you had to be strategic about that. And then whenever we see that whenever the tires and the pit stops kind of come up evenly, we was like, that's going to be a bit of a strategic race. And it kind of turned out to be that way. But you made it more exciting there at the finish with the way that you battled that one out. So we appreciate that. And we hope to really see you next week at Atlanta as you continue the march.
Appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good evening, and we'll see you next week in Atlanta.
You got it. All right, Mark. We did think that there might be a splash and go at the end, but it didn't turn out that way.
No, I mean, clearly the easy 2-stop was the way to go, rather than the hard 1-stop and a splash. So, kudos to all these guys. Once again, we're treated to a thinking person's race, and not the knock the guy out of the way race, which is always fun to watch. And cannot say enough. I know he came up short today, but what Chris Reagan accomplished with the much faster car behind him, both men extremely magnanimous in the interview room, of course, but what a brilliant display of driving, both by Reagan to keep the faster car behind him, and Greg Evans, for one, not running him over, but
right.
but two, to think his way around him and wait for the one tiny mistake. He got it, he capitalized on it, drove on past, got the win. But what an amazing race by both of them. Thanks to Mike Rigney for putting this on. As long as we continue to have races like this, we're going to see this league continue to grow. And hopefully, as it does, we continue to see drivers not only of this caliber and quality, which is fantastic, but also in philosophy. And so that's where I'll leave it after what I'm going to say is probably one of the best ISRA races that we've had the pleasure of.
No, I will agree with you. Normally, even in IndyCar races, New Hampshire's kind of a snoozer. It's follow the leaders, not a lot of fun. Today, they keep proving us wrong that these races can be fun, and it certainly was. Okay, here is the points situation. Michael Goodman is your points leader by 1 over Lionel Callisto. Lionel Callisto fell 1 position to P2 in the championship, so he is only 1 point away. So Goodman 216, Callisto 215, Matt Wagner still third, 214. So Wagner is there's 1 point separating first and second, and 1 point separating second and third. That's how close we are. And really, 4th spot's not out of this either. Sam Crow has 209. So the top 4, Goodman, 216, Lionel Callisto, 215, Wagner, 214, Crow, 209. And there's got a bit of a fall-off, but Pepto Joe is holding down the 5th spot with 166. Say Hey Lewis Hayes right behind him at 163. Richie Hearn in 7th with 157. Mike Rigney, the host with the most, in P8 with 154. And then, unfortunately, Rick D, for missing today's race, is kind of the biggest loser out of all this, kind of -4 spots down to 9th. Dean Mall down 4 spots down to 10th. But they're still within the grasp of the mid portion of the top 10. Rick D, 142 points. Dean Mall, 140 points. Their next closest in the battle there is P8 Rigney at 154. So they're within sight of that. So the top 10 has changed a little bit, but still, for the most part, I believe the same names are still there. And then we have a new leader, Michael Goodman. So we still have a long, long way to go. We're only in round 6 now. We're going to round 7 here at Atlanta, and that's only halfway through this season. Moving on. I think that's going to do it for tonight here, Murph. So that's our podium. Once again, from New Hampshire is Greg Evans, and a heck of a battle with Chris Reagan. And kudos to Chris Reagan for just driving a car that just probably didn't have the same level of tires as Evans did, and just held him off for so long. Great battle. And then Jake Euler in his first race in the series. Congratulations on P3. Welcome, and we hope to see more of you in the coming rounds. Join us again next week for round 7 of the ISRA Xfinity Series as teams and drivers head to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Coverage, as always, begins around 9:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's 9:35 p.m. Eastern. As always, you can find the correct time in your area. Just check here at YouTube. youtube.com/raceverse. Track cams today provided by Whiplash Sim Cams. I want to send a thank you to Whiplash Sim Cams for being the official camera provider of all of us here. To learn more about Whiplash and to follow them, to follow them at Twitter, if I could get it out, or follow them or like them on Facebook. Their links are in the description. Check them out. Get more out of your iRacing experience with Whiplash Sim Cams. So for Mark Murphy, everyone here, I'm Gary Gatto saying all good night and thanks for watching. And to all the men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again right here next week in Atlanta for the next race of the ISRA Xfinity Series. Good night and donate if you haven't done so already.